Hi guys, and welcome to another video. In my previous videos I've mentioned my little owl Yoshi, and I thought it was time to tell Yoshi's story. For a very long time I didn't want to tell this story to anyone because I feel responsible for what happened, and I felt so guilty and I'm not proud of what happened. Even though it may not be directly my fault, I still feel like it was my fault. But I feel like other people who also own an owl could learn something from what happened to me and Yoshi, and that's why I decided to tell the story anyway. So I must have had Lucky for about 1 year when my mentors called me up and they told me that there was a well-known falconer in their region who was treating all of his birds like crap. It was actual animal abuse, and he had one owl in particular, a little owl called Yoshi, and he didn't want it anymore. Probably because there wasn't much money to be earned with this little owl, because little owls are very stubborn to fly. You can't really use little owls in demonstrations. Maybe you can, but I haven't seen a falconer use a little owl to fly during demonstrations. So what happened was that this falconer just left his bird in this super small cage to die. He just stopped feeding it, and he told my mentors, you know what, I want to get rid of it. If nobody is gonna come and get it, it will just die in the cage. And my mentors wanted to take the little owl in, but they already had so many owls at their house, there just wasn't any space for the little owl. And my mentors taught me everything, and they knew I was a really good mother, as you guys like to call it, to Lucky. So they called me up to hear if I was interested. And I actually wasn't interested in a second owl. I did not want a second owl because I wanted to be able to spend all of my free time with Lucky. I knew that if I had to divide my free time between two owls, that it would be very difficult and that I wouldn't be able to spend so much time with Lucky. And if I own an animal, I want to be able to give that animal what it really needs. But my mentors told me, like, Elke, I'm sorry, but if you don't come and get this owl, it will die. And of course I could not let that happen, so I decided to take the owl in and just make the best of it. And because this owl was abused, it was extremely scared of all humans. It was scared of everything. So I kind of rehabilitated it so that it was able to sit on the glove and so that it was less scared of humans. And we actually created a really nice bond. She wasn't as social as Lucky because she was abused, but she was able to sit on the glove and go on walks with me, and I was able to cuddle with her. So yeah, that went really well, and I loved her, of course. And I still was able to give Lucky all of the attention she needed, so that was really positive. But at that time I had a boyfriend who lived at the seaside, and he was building his own house, so he almost never wanted to come to me. I always came to him, and I took the train because I don't have a driver's license. And sometimes I took my owls with me and sometimes I didn't. But my boyfriend had a really huge dog. I'll show you some pictures of him right now. His name was Yoshi, so my owl's name was Yoshi, his name was Yoshi. And he was a really good dog, he was a really sweet dog, but it was a wolf, basically. He was part wolf and part husky, so he was really big, and he was a really nice dog, but he would kill other small animals. And I know that this was totally natural for that dog, so it's not like I blamed him, but I was aware of this. So I told my boyfriend that he was allowed to put the birds outside in the garden in the morning before he went to work or anything, if he wanted to. But I told him to always make sure that he kept the owls and the dog separated. We were able to divide the garden into two pieces, if you will, and there was a fence, so we could always keep the dog and the owl separated. And he was like, yeah, but my dog is a really good dog. I'm sure he wouldn't hurt Lucky or Yoshi. He's such a sweet dog. And I was like, honey, I'm sorry, but that is not true. Hoshi was afraid of Lucky. And this is gonna sound weird, but whenever he walked by Lucky, he just took this giant bow around her. He was scared of her, but he wasn't scared of Yoshi, which is logical because it was this teeny weeny tiny bird. And I knew that he would kill her if he got the chance. So I told my boyfriend, honey, I'm sorry, but that's not true. He's got a great hunting instinct. He's gonna harm one of the birds if he gets the opportunity. Please never ever put them together. Even if you're around to keep an eye on him, because it can happen really fast. And he always told me that he would do what I asked him, but instinctually, intuitively, I knew that someday he just would be like, and what I should have done was speak up. I should have followed my intuition and tell him, listen, these are my owls, they are my responsibilities, I love them to death. If something were to happen to them, I would not be able to get over it. And I would feel super responsible because they are my responsibilities and they are my property. I don't like to use the term property when it comes to animals. They are never your property, they are living beings, but you guys know what I mean. They are my property, so if you go against what I'm telling you right now, you're basically risking the lives of my animals. And you're doubting my capacities as a falconer. You're doubting my experience. I am telling you that your dog will kill my owls whenever it gets the opportunity. And I don't mean to say that your dog is bad. Your dog is the sweetest dog there is, but it is just his natural instinct to kill those birds. And you know, my boyfriend, he always thought he knew a lot about animals and that he was an animal friend, but he really wasn't. He didn't know anything about animals because his dog was the most unbehaved dog I have ever seen. He used to pull the leash so hard that even my boyfriend, who was 1 meter and 99 centimeters, and he weighed like what is it in pounds? I think it's, just wait a second. He weighed 220 pounds. And even he couldn't hold the dog when he was pulling the leash. So I retrained his dog, and in 2 days he stopped pulling. He came towards us when we called him, and I learned him all of these new tricks. I also went for walks with him twice a day. So I walked with him for 2 hours a day just to make sure that he was stimulated and that he had his exercise. And like, my boyfriend never ever did that with his dog. And then it's logical that it won't obey you and that it's gonna misbehave. But it was a really sweet dog. It's not like he was aggressive or mean or anything. He was the sweetest dog there was, but he just wasn't very well raised. He also didn't look at my boyfriend as a leader. So whenever we sat at the table during dinner, for example, the dog would beg for food and would be really irritating. He would jump with his front legs on our laps and stuff, and he was a really big dog, so people did not like to come for dinner at our place. So I retrained the dog and I taught him that at least I was the leader, so that when I was there, he wouldn't come and beg for food when we were eating or anything. So to make a long story short, I retrained his dog, and my boyfriend thought he knew a lot about animals when he really didn't. So my intuition was right, and one day I was still sleeping and he put the owls outside, but he didn't keep the dog separately. And a few hours later he came to me and he told me, "Oh my God, I think Yoshi is dead." And I saw the look in his eyes and I was like, "Did you not keep the dog separately?" And he was like, "No, I think the dog did something to it." And I was shocked. and I went to the garden to see what happened, and Yoshi had a broken wing, and I don't know, I think it died of a heart attack, and it was pretty obvious that the dog attacked it. Like, nothing else could have happened to it. There weren't any other animals around. And Lucky was fine. Lucky was standing next to Yoshi. They were standing a few meters apart, of course, because Lucky would eat Yoshi if she would have the opportunity. But yeah, Yoshi was lying there, and it was so obvious that the dog killed her. And my boyfriend was so stupid. He was like, well, we'll test to see if it was a dog or not. Like, I'll go and stand in Yoshi's place and I'll yell at the dog, and if he looks guilty, then he did it. And I was like, you fucking moron. If you knew anything about dogs, then you would know that if you yell at your dog, it's going to have this guilty expression on his face, because he's going to try to make himself lower than you to calm you down. This is what wolves do, and this is what dogs do. Like, if the alpha dog in the pack gets angry at another dog, the other dog will be like, he will make himself small and be really, how do you call this? Like, not dominant, but the opposite of dominance. He will make himself inferior to you, because he knows if he challenges that alpha dog, he's dead. That's why a dog has a guilty expression when its owner yells at it. If a dog does something wrong when you're not home, and you come home and you see what he did and you start to yell at him, yes, your dog will look guilty, and it will look like he's full of remorse and feeling really guilty, but your dog doesn't know why you're yelling at him. He's just making himself inferior to you so that you won't kill him, because this is what would happen in a normal dog pack or in a normal wolf pack. Like, we humans, we try to humanize all animals when it is not up to them to learn our language. It is up to us to learn their language. So yeah, my boyfriend obviously didn't get this. And I was so angry with him, but I mean, there's nothing I could do anymore. The bird was already dead. And I felt, even though it wasn't directly my fault, I felt responsible, because I knew that I should have followed my intuition, and I should have spoken up when I felt that someday my boyfriend wouldn't respect my wishes. I should have warned him. Or I should have been smarter and not taken my owls with me. So yeah, that was Yoshi's story. It's really sad, but that's my advice I want to give you guys. Always follow your intuition and don't doubt yourself. You know your abilities, you know your strengths and your weaknesses, and don't let anyone else tell you differently. Trust your intuition, especially if you're specialized in something or you've done a lot of research about something. Just trust your own judgment. Of course you should be open to opinions of others, and of course you should be always humble and not pretend like you know everything. But you know when to self-reflect and when not to. So yeah, that's my advice. If you own an animal and you know what's best for that animal, don't let anyone tell you differently, because it might end badly. Unfortunately, Yoshi's story ended sadly. So yeah, that was Yoshi's story. I hope you guys appreciated my honesty, and I'll see you guys in the next more positive video. Bye!